You have spent your life trying to outrun your own darkness, believing the parts of you that feel ashamed, angry, or afraid are mistakes to hide rather than guides to follow. You've chased brighter horizons, built walls of should around your tender edges, and hushed the echo of that deep hum behind your ribs. But your shadow is not a burden to escape. It is the compass that points you toward your true north. Today, you will turn into your shadow's embrace, allow its weight to settle as a map across your soul, and let its presence navigate you to a life of deeper purpose and wholeness. You begin by closing your eyes and placing your hand over the hollow of your heart. You feel its steady beat, the pulse that thrums with every unspoken longing, every unclaimed ache. You inhale fully, drawing in the tension lodged in your ribs, and exhale slowly, softening every muscle until the world falls away into your own stillness. You whisper inside, "I welcome you, shadow. Show me your way." As you speak these words, you allow your chest to open to the tremor of fear beneath your skin, the flicker of sadness rolling behind your lids, the flicker of desire that you have long disguised. In that trembling, you meet the contours of your shadow for the first time without flinching. You open your eyes and shift your gaze to a single candle burning on a low table at your feet. Its small, quivering flame is both light and darkness, its glow dancing against the sheer blackness of the room. You sit cross-legged on the floor and lean forward so that the candle's warmth grazes the tip of your nose. You watch as the flame flares and then retreats, each exhale of wax surrendering itself to gravity. You realize that the candle's flicker mirrors the rhythm of your own breath, moments of illumination punctuated by shadows that gather when the flame wanes. You lean back, feeling the ground beneath your bones, and let that duality settle. Your own light lives only because darkness cradles it. You rise and move toward your nearest mirror, not with judgment but with a researcher's curiosity. You stand before the glass, letting its cold truth reflect both your beauty and your flaws. You notice the faint lines etched across your forehead, maps of worry and late nights spent wrestling with doubt. You see the tension in your jaw, the way you clench it when fear flickers. You watch your eyes, pools that have known both tears of grief and the glint of quiet determination. You let each detail sink in, like a cartographer tracing a coastline. You whisper to your reflection, "I am not just the skin. I am the shadows underneath that give me shape." You step away from the mirror and find a blank sheet of paper on your writing desk. You place your pen in your hand and close your eyes once more, asking, "What part of my shadow have I denied the longest?" You listen to the stillness within until a single memory surfaces. A night when you suppressed an outburst of rage, a day when you swallowed a truth so hard it scraped your throat dry, a moment of jealousy you dared not admit. You open your eyes and write that memory across the top of the page. "I denied the fire that wanted to speak." Beneath it, without pausing to censor or soften, you pour the raw details. How the anger rose like molten steel, how you forced your voice into silence, how the resentment settled into your bones and refused to leave. You feel the tremor in your hand as ink spills across the page, each stroke releasing the tension held in that moment. You read the lines you've written, feeling the weight of every word. You sense how this denial shaped so many of your choices, how you said yes when you meant no, how you swallowed your truth in hopes of preserving peace, how you let resentment fester into a dull ache behind every polite smile. You fold the page in half and tuck it into a small wooden box at your desk. You close the lid with reverence, recognizing that this box now holds a compass rose, each confession a directional point guiding you away from the sterile safety of avoidance and toward the living terrain of authenticity. You carry that box into your day. In every conversation that stirs a tremor of anger or hurt, you catch the flash of your shadow and let it guide your response. When a colleague interrupts you, triggering the old spark of rage, you lean into the echo, "I'm angry because my voice was unheard." You pause, feel the rise of heat in your chest, and choose to speak with firmness rather than hostility. Let me finish. You feel the irony at work. The very fire you once buried beneath politeness now forges your courage to stand up with calm authority. When a friend's innocuous remark stabs at old insecurities, you feel the familiar pinch of shame. But now you take a breath and let the shadow's compass direct you. I feel unworthy. My fear of not measuring up is at play. You share your vulnerability. Sometimes I worry I'm not enough in this conversation. And watch as the dynamic shifts. Empathy blooms, connection deepens, the shadow recedes into a well-harnessed flame of self-compassion. Each evening you return to the box of confessions. You lift the lid and draw out the folded papers, revisiting each directional marker you placed. You trace your fingers across the words, remembering the rawness of that moment. Then you ask, how have I followed this compass today? You journal the answers. I spoke my anger with respect. I honored my worth by setting boundaries. I let my sadness guide me to self-care. You tuck the paper back into the box, knowing that each confession now seeds a new lesson, its shadow alchemized into a point of clarity. Some nights, a deeper layer of shadow stirs, a whisper of envy, a tremor of old trauma, a flicker of fear you have not yet named. You write these too, peeling back the veils that dim your compass's light. You offer each confession to the wooden box, letting the act of recording transform the unformed fear into something you can navigate rather than flee. You allow your heart to feel the ache of each revelation, knowing that to feel fully is to live wholly. Over time, you notice how your compass shifts. Where once fear's shadow led you to paralyze with indecision, now it guides you to a different crossroad. Act from curiosity instead of self-doubt. Where once shame's echo hushed your creativity, now it orients you toward healing. Use art to speak what words cannot. You see how each step beyond avoidance builds a path forged in the truth of your shadow's light. You learn to rest each morning at the center of your compass. You sit with feet grounded, draw a breath, and place a hand over the box of confessions. You feel the accumulated energy of a shadow transformed, once hidden, now honored. You whisper your intention. I will let my shadow guide my choices. You feel the compass awaken beneath your palm, its needle quivering with the subtle pulse of your evolving self. You carry this practice into every corner of your life. In work decisions, you sense when ambition is spurred by envy versus inspired by purpose. In relationships, you follow the shadow's nudge to speak untold longing instead of burying desire. In solitude, you turn toward the ache of your past to mine its lessons for future growth. You become a navigator, honing the skill of naming your inner darkness as a flare that illuminates your map rather than a weight that sinks your ship. As you sleep each night, you dream of a horizon where your true self shines unconcealed, a life carved not by the denial of your shadow, but by its gentle guidance. You sense that the world itself is a great terrain where each soul carries a compass forged in darkness, and the bravest among you learn not to flee your shadows, but to carry them like stars guiding you through the uncharted night. You awaken each dawn, hands hovering above the box as though invoking a prayer, softly, reverently, knowing that this is not a one-time ritual but an ongoing vow. You embrace your shadow's tremor, lean into its pulse, and let it point you toward the fuller light of your own becoming.